The year 1996 marked the beginning of a lot of new eras. Earlier this year, we looked at the dawn of Shacknews itself, alongside PC gaming staple Quake, which changed the PC gaming world. That year also marked the twilight of the second console generation. The Super Nintendo and the Sega Genesis had served the console gaming public well, and will always hold an esteemed place in this great lobby's history. However, it was time for something new. It was time to enter a whole new dimension. For Nintendo, that meant leaping into the great unknown with its third home console, the Nintendo 64. The industry leader was bracing to get experimental with new 3D games, new art styles, new ideas. As had been the case with the previous two consoles, success all hinged on Mario. Hey folks, if you enjoy this feature, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification button. It's 3 small clicks to you, but means the world to us. Let's get started. Super Mario 64 released 25 years ago, launching alongside the Nintendo 64. It was a game that confounded those who weren't ready to leave their 2D comfort zone. But for the rest of the gaming world, this game marked a brand new journey, one that would help define Mario to this day. Super Mario Bros. Took players across the Mushroom Kingdom when it launched on the NES. Super Mario World took players through a relatively new world when it debuted on the Super Nintendo. When Super Mario 64 released alongside the Nintendo 64, the heroic plumber took players into a setting that they didn't expect to see: the Princess's Castle. The story started off slightly different, with Mario invited to the castle because the princess was baking him a cake. A few minutes into the game, and the real story became clear. Bowser had kidnapped the princess. Again. Before going any further, let's talk about the princess. Today, everyone knows her as Princess Peach. But she wasn't always called that. When the Mario series first spread out outside Japan, the character was named Princess Toadstool. But that was never supposed to be her official name. In Japan, she had been known as Peach from the very beginning. Why she was ever called Princess Toadstool everywhere else is unknown, though it can probably be attributed to the regional marketing. With Mario 64 making a new beginning for Mario, Nintendo saw the opportunity to set things right. Therefore, Super Mario RPG: The Legend of the Seven Stars would be the final time that the princess would go under the name Toadstool. When Super Mario 64 released 25 years ago today, the name change to Peach would become permanent.
Dear Mario, please come to the castle. I have baked a cake for you. Yours truly, Princess Toadstool. Peach.
Speaking of ideas that would become permanent, Super Mario 64 would be the first time that players would venture into Princess Peach's castle, and its exterior design remains in place 25 years later. Players most recently explored Peach's humble abode in games like Super Mario Odyssey and Paper Mario: The Origami King. The stained glass image of Peach above the entrance has become iconic in itself, and Super Mario 64 marks its first official appearance. What's interesting about the castle is that it was originally planned to be part of the Legend of Zelda jump into 3D. However, things didn't quite pan out. Mario and Zelda creator Shigeru Miyamoto explained in a 1996 roundtable interview, which was published in the Super Mario 64 Strategy Guide. For me, Mario and Zelda exist side by side. Their basic gameplay elements are the same, with the only difference being that one focuses on action and the other on puzzle solving. They're always developed at the same time, and lots of good ideas from Mario get used in Zelda, and vice versa. Actually, the castle system from Mario 64 was originally something I thought of for Zelda, and now that we've used it here, I'm wondering what we're going to do for Zelda. In any event, I'm really looking forward to developing the next N64 game. Uh-oh, I better stop before I end up talking about what I'm making now. The inside of Peach's castle set the stage for how Super Mario 64 would work. Mario could explore the castle, but when it came time to start a level, he had to jump through one of the castle's many paintings. Inside these paintings was a glimpse at Mario's future.
Let's go!
With Mario's move to 3D, gone were the days of running from a starting point to a flagpole. Well, at least they were gone for a little while. Miyamoto wanted this to be a very different kind of Mario game. In his mind, a 3D Mario would not be the same as anything that had come before it. Miyamoto said in a 1996 interview with Next Generation magazine, "It's very difficult to compare between the existing Mario games and Super Mario 64. We must consider them as two different kinds of games. Personally, I wanted to make a game that looked like a 3D interactive cartoon. I wanted to create a small garden where Mario can meet real-time 3D characters, and the player would be able to move around the character with the controller, just as if it were a real cartoon." Instead of moving to a set goal, Mario had to collect stars, which would open up more doors inside Peach's castle. Each of the painted worlds in Super Mario 64 had 6 stars, not counting the extra one that was rewarded for collecting 100 yellow coins. Upon entering the painting, Mario would be assigned a specific star. Some stars would only appear when they're assigned, while others could be collected at any time if the player knew their location. This kind of open-ended gameplay sounds primitive by 2021 standards, but for the Mario series in 1996, it was amazingly innovative. The first time a player stepped into a bomb battlefield in 1996, it may have felt overwhelming. It was the first time in Mario's history that players could see an entirely different stage from overhead. The first reaction was likely, "Where do I go first?" There were Goombas, like in every other mainline Mario platformer. But these Goombas were wandering in circles and not just statically moving from right to left. There was a giant cannon where Mario could take flight. And in the center of the level was a mountain just begging to be climbed. It was unlike anything in a Mario game to that point, and the scale of these stages would only get bigger as the adventure progressed.
Here we go!
Equally innovative was Mario's arsenal of moves. While Mario had power-ups, this time in the form of special caps, success in Super Mario 64 was centered around mastering Mario's own basic array of moves. Mario could punch, he could perform a backward somersault, he could wall jump, he could triple jump, and he could long jump. Many of these moves remain a fixture in 3D Mario games today, and all of them have different uses. Some are used to take on bosses, others are used to reach out to faraway stars, and some are used when racing against time. For as many new moves as Mario had, Nintendo did have one major concern, and that was regarding the fundamental jump. As Miyamoto noted in a 1996 interview, which was also published for the Super Mario 64 Strategy Guide. In the Mario games up to now, we've carefully crafted every stage and level down to the individual pixel. Take jumping for example. Implementing jumping in 3D is really difficult. In the early Mario games, we were able to measure the number of pixels Mario could jump and know exactly what is possible. But this time, we had to design the level so that as long as your jump was close enough, you'd make it. It was too hard for the players to judge. This was a design change we made in the middle of the development, when the game was already very complete. There was a lot of booing from the staff. If Mario was going to level up, then so too was his arch nemesis. Like Mario, Bowser had evolved over the precious decade in a lot of ways. He was last seen standing side by side with Mario in Super Mario RPG. But for this first foray into 3D platforming, Nintendo wanted to think bigger. For starters, Bowser would no longer be able to see eye to eye with Mario, literally. For Super Mario 64, Bowser became a larger-than-life beast and would tower over Mario in nearly every mainline Mario game since. The 3D Mario formula is fascinating, because while the formula itself has aged well, many elements of Super Mario 64 have not. But that's a story for later, so let's put a pin in that idea for now. There was another way that Super Mario 64 stood out from all its predecessors. Mario suddenly had a voice. For the first time in a main Mario game, the heroic plumber would speak. Granted, it would be limited phrases.
Yahoo!
But hearing Mario with a voice was still exciting, if a bit jarring, for those who have spent the last 10 years seeing him as a silent protagonist. Charles Martinet stepped into the mascot's shoes. Having previously voiced him for a PC spin-off Mario's Game Gallery, also known as Mario's Fundamentals, it wasn't Martinet's first rodeo with Nintendo, having previously done voice work for Super Punch-Out! The Mario games may not have been Shakespeare, but that's how Martinet approached his audition.
And I came along in 1990. I actually crashed an audition because I was catching them as I walked in, they were walking out, finished for the day. I said, "Can I read for this?" And the guy looked at his watch and he goes, "All right, come on in. You're an Italian plumber from Brooklyn, a character in a video game for Nintendo called Mario. So make up a voice, make up a video game, start talking." And I thought to myself, video game? I don't know anything about video games. And all of a sudden I hear action. I go, "Hello, I'm Mario. Let's make a pizza pie together. You go get some sausage. I'm gonna get some spaghetti. We put spaghetti in the sausage and the pizza." And he said, "Cut, stop talking. There's no more tape. All right, thanks, we'll be in touch." And I thought that was, okay, there's the door. We'll see you later. And he calls Nintendo. I found a Mario. I got him. And that was 26 amazing, fantastic years ago.
The rest is history. Martinet's edition was presented to Miyamoto. According to the Strategy Guide interview, it turned out that Miyamoto was aware of Martinet's body of work, having remembered him from a video game event 5 to 6 years prior. Martinet was called in to work on Super Mario 64, and remains Mario's voice to this day. He's also gone on to voice other members of the Mario family since then, including Luigi and Wario. But, for Nintendo fans, the magic all started with that iconic line that opened the N64 classic.
It's me, Mario! Hello!
When Miyamoto went into Super Mario 64, his goal was to make it something far different than anything Mario had done before. As iconic as Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario World were, this needed to be something just as special, albeit in a different way. What Nintendo pulled off was a 3D platformer that would defy the genre for many years, and continue to define Mario's 3D titles 25 years later. With Super Mario 64, players could explore diorama-like worlds for the first time, interact and experiment with objects that had actual physics, and move Mario around a 360-degree three-dimensional plane using the Nintendo 64's controller analog stick. It was a new way of looking at games, one that turned off old-school 2D purists of the previous generation, but ushered in an entirely new crop of players.
You want to see something really cool? Check this out. Whoa! What am I, a monkey? You can zoom in, zoom out, change angles. Go anywhere you want to go, do anything you want to do. Here we go! This place is really sweet. Whoa, I'm out of here. Change the system.
While heralded as an instant classic, the game was far from perfect. The camera system, for example, even at the time was deemed a nightmare, one that's aged like a moldy cheese. However, Super Mario 64 was the foundation on which Mario's 3D future would be built. The camera was refined into something far more usable in Super Mario Galaxy. The worlds have been made progressively bigger and more engaging in every 3D Super Mario game that followed, and even the star system has been refined for maximum engagement with 2017's Super Mario Odyssey. Conversely, some elements of Super Mario 64 became timeless and never went anywhere. The soundtrack immediately stands out, with the slide track in particular becoming a fixture in Mario games for the next 25 years. Lastly, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Super Mario 64's place in the speedrunning community. Many classic games have passionate speedrunning communities, but Super Mario 64 stands out with its charismatic runners. Their commitment to finding new and exciting glitches, and also finding new ways to run the game. While runners like Alan Cheese5 Alvarez and Lee Binny Whalen continue to search for ways to optimize runs and set records, runners like Bubsya have tackled an entirely new category, taking on the classic platformer while blindfolded. The speedrunning community has never stopped celebrating Super Mario 64 over its 25 years of existence, and it doesn't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon.
Ah! I don't know if it's world record. Holy f***! No!
Nintendo always believed in the power of the Nintendo 64. Across dozens of interviews with a number of different outlets, Nintendo's higher-ups stood by their assertions that the Nintendo 64 was a game changer when it came to console gaming. Miyamoto said, concluding the 1996 roundtable interview that appeared in the Super Mario 64 strategy guide, "We're going to be releasing a lot of games that do things that have never been done before. We still have those doubts sometimes. Is this really going to be fun? But it's precisely because it's something weird that we want to try it. The N64 is that kind of hardware. It makes the strange possible." Nintendo certainly did release games that were fun, strange, and everything in between. But, like the two consoles before it, the ball doesn't get rolling without Mario. Super Mario 64 has its place in gaming history for a reason, becoming an innovator in the 3D gaming space, and convincing a new generation of players that it was time to play. Hey folks, if you enjoyed this video feature, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, notification button. It's 3 small clicks for you, but means the world to us. For more video features and everything else gaming related, you're already in the right place. You're on Shacknews.com.
Thank you so much for playing my game.